We are the restaurant brokers, and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We're deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. This is Eric and Robin Gagon, the restaurant broker. Cheers, guys. We're back on the air. We're talking with some experts in the alcohol space this week as we discuss how you take your restaurant bar, you can turn it into a money-making machine, and also just attract a brand new audience, an audience who in this day and time is really more than ever focused on experiencing a craft cocktail, experiencing a craft beer, and really having an experience when they get to the bar. Jason, you talked about folks coming up to Bacon Brothers Public House. They get there in the early afternoon, and part of the whole event of eating out, dining out, is also to watch those bartenders at work crafting ingredients that formerly you would have pulled out of a bottle and actually put those together. Do you think they love that and they talk about it on social media?
Yeah, definitely. We do see that a lot. We get tagged in a lot of posts, especially on Twitter, about with a picture tag to it, maybe back to the Instagram with the picture of maybe one of our bartenders making something like that. Plus, we have our barrels, old whiskey barrels that are all sitting behind the bar, which we make all sort of things in: bitters, tinctures, age whiskey longer, mix it with other things, and age it. Aged cocktails, we hadn't talked about this before, but that's a growing trend as well. You kind of batch your cocktail out together, then put it in a barrel, age it for a while, then you finish it out. And we're starting to see more and more of that too. I think the showmanship, though, the bartender, the days of the movie Cocktail where Tom Cruise is throwing bottles around in the air might be somewhat over, except for a few places. But now it's more almost like a scientist slowly stirring his drink or mixing his drink as a craft. So it's changing, I think, that evolution in entertainment. They want to see somebody working on it more as a chemist and less as a showman.
So the days of the sideshow are over, and the focus is really on the center stage, which is the actual product that's being produced and all those elements coming together.
Yes, and the execution. I think is the most part. If you get too much bitters in your drink, for instance, there's probably an execution problem there. So training. I mean, you can't say it enough, but most bartenders you're going to hire, in our restaurant, we start them off as a server and give them some time to understand our concepts and really get into it. And then we'll test them behind the bar. And that's going to take a lot of training. They have to learn how to make these drinks exactly. A lot of drinks, like even the classic Corpse Reviver, if you don't make that drink with the exact measurements, it's one of the worst drinks you ever drink. But if you make it perfectly, it's one of the greatest drinks you ever drink. So, wow. And that's true of a lot of specialty cocktails.
Jason, you do know that you just insulted heavily Tom Cruise about saying the bottles.
Do, but I'm okay with that, I guess.
So, Nathan, you've taken what is about an individualistic approach, really, and locally sourced things, and then you have layered onto that the whole idea of franchising, which is to be consistent everywhere. You're sort of mixing two different paradigms there. How's that working out for you? Because your franchise is growing quickly, correct?
It is. We just started franchising just a little bit more than a year ago, and we sold 12 stores in our first year. We've sold several more of the first part of this year, so we're taking off rather quickly. we're venturing out of state. We're getting out of Tennessee and into Ohio, and then we'll be up in there hopefully late summer with our first store. But yeah, it's the Castle Pint's a simple concept. You know, we just do craft beer. We're beer centric. We focus on that. It's a quality product, and it really sells itself. And you know, I'm not smart enough to make it too complicated, so that's why it's simple and easy and attractive to franchise owners.
Good. That's great. Great story there. Congratulations. John, let me ask you, I mean, we see now the bar, I mean, to me it's coming very clearly, especially with this show, that the bar, it's almost its own restaurant within the restaurant that works with the food part of it. Now, do you see when you go out and talk to new people, the bar managers, and talk to more just the bar people versus just the general manager or the owner of the store, do you see more and more like this as a subset of the restaurant, or do you still see this as an overall part of the operation?
No, I definitely think that it's a part of the operation that's beginning to stand out in a way that it hasn't before. You know, it was, I think, kind of before this kind of trend of craft cocktails. I think it was just kind of a part of your process, whereas now it's kind of taking a leading role. You know, like you were saying when you had dinner, you know, this is it's becoming a very important part of the overall experience. But it in itself is also becoming an experience. So it's being paired with foods, but it's also people being able to try new things. And I think it's definitely taking center stage in the restaurant and bar world in a way that it wasn't before. You know, I definitely agree that, you know, the tricks and things like that, it's not going to get you as far as it did, you know, kind of back in the day. You know, today it really is about knowing what you're doing, and it's more of knowing the chemistry and how these things go together, and really being able to execute a really great cocktail that kind of blows people's minds and gives them a whole different experience layered onto their dining experience or their bar experience. And I think that is what's kind of drawing it all together. But it's definitely bubbling to the surface, taking a leading role.
So I want to ask each one of you to quickly tell us what makes a great bartender. You think back to, you know, the glory days of Cheers on TV, and it was the guy who knew everybody's name. Is that still the case, or is that focus shifting to actual product and execution? Jason, what do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, Sam from Cheers was one of the best bartenders ever on TV. He wasn't like Tom Cruise, and he's more like the guy you see today that pours you a whiskey on the rocks and then might make a fancy drink afterwards. I think great bartenders are a little bit cocky, you know, to start with. They're knowledgeable, have some good intelligence to them, and understand, you know, how to make the drinks properly, have a good history behind them, and most of all, they have a passion for what they're doing, especially when it comes to crafting a cocktail and to craft beer as well. You know, we sell a lot of craft beer as well, and they have to know those things, and really, you can't teach somebody that, you know, completely. They have to have a passion for it and actually take some personal time to have an interest in it, go out to other places and try some of their craft cocktails, researching it online, seeing what other people are doing in cities like New York, where John is up there, and just seeing what's going on in the trends, and they get really interested. And so the guest is talking to this bartender, and he seems to know everything. Like, he made the cocktail list, and they end up asking if he's the owner. You know, so that is ownership is part of it, and yeah, I think it's in tandem with the craft cocktails, the quality of ingredients, the quality of the person who's making those ingredients. All those things are coming together now to make a new great era of bartenders, I think.
So those people listening to our show today that are interested in going into the restaurant or bar business, they just heard the great success traits of a fantastic bartender. I heard passion. They have to be a little bit cocky. That's just about all the time we have today. I think we could talk on this subject forever. You're listening to Eric and Robin Gagnon, the Restaurant Brokers. We've been talking with Jason Calloway, Nathan Robinette, and John Porter, experts in the bar business. Join us each week as we satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. Stay tuned after this very quick timeout, and we'll be back with Restaurant Reality.